start to build a foundation of a football team. And, every season you got openings. That's certainly part of the deal. And then this year we've got, I think, an inordinate amount of injuries. I don't know if that's post-pandemic, hangover or what, but we've got a lot of guys that have been out. So, there's a good thing about injuries. At least it creates opportunity for other players, and I think we've got a couple of illustrations of that. But the key thing is it's all about growth. But again, going back to the injury front, that's been one of the lowlights of things. Way too many guys on the sidelines. Hopefully, we can move past that. I think if there's good news there, most of the guys should be back by June. So that's important, and hopefully that stays the case with a couple exceptions. But that part's a little bit hard. I'm sitting there thinking just about Luke Lachey's probably a good snapshot moment. We have one of our receivers dislocated a finger twice during the course of spring ball. One of the sidelines, they reset it, taped it up, and Luke had one 2 or 3 weeks ago where, of course, it wasn't just reset the thing. You had to go to the hospital and check it out, and end up having to do a little surgical procedure, which wasn't major, other than he's got stitches in there, so he couldn't do anything the last 2 weeks. But it seems like we've had a lot of those just kind of weird ground balls, if you would. So that part's a little frustrating, but it is part of football, and again, a lot of guys are getting a lot of good work in that regard. So I think overall, just if you look at the whole 15 days total, I think we've made some progress, seen some individual growth. It's really what we talked to the guys about throughout the onset of spring practice and throughout. It's really more about what kind of individual growth can we see. We'll worry about the cohesion part later on, and I think we've seen a lot of areas where there is that growth. I think clearly in today's indicative of this, that we still got a lot of ways to go, a long ways to go right now. But overall, again, the work habits have been good, the attitude's been good, and I think our leadership's been good. Probably a little bit, maybe we got a little more personality than most of our teams at this point, and I think that's because we've got some really good older players, experienced players. So part's all good, and the next 2 weeks now, the guys will be in a little different type of training regimen, a lot lighter, and finish up their academic work, and then we'll have finals. Guys will get a good break, and then we'll get back to it hard in June. So that's kind of where they're at right now. And again, today was, I think, good for us to work. Certainly, it's great to be in Kinnick. First time all spring we've been in Kinnick. We've only been outdoors 3 times. For a breeze and weather out there, that certainly is, I think, good. Certainly for the guys throwing the football, kicking the ball, that was healthy for them to experience that. It's a little different throwing and kicking indoors. And, just having fans is certainly always a good thing. So that's a positive. And then the other thing you notice, just the volume of work that we're doing right now is a little bit less, and it's been that way all spring, again, because of the injury deal. And we had talked, at least I've been thinking about, how we're going to do spring practice a couple months ago. And then, injuries almost kind of forced our hand, just cutting back some of the reps, especially for guys that have played. So, we got a couple guys I think we can predict what they'll look like when we get going. But anyway, good chance to learn a little bit. And then we haven't had a team banquet in a couple years now, so we're doing a cookout with the families. They're over there right now getting something to eat, and just, good to get them all together too. I think that's a good opportunity, again, in light of the fact that we haven't had a banquet in a couple years. So, so far so good. We certainly got a lot of work to do, but I think we got a chance to have a good team if we do the work the way we're supposed to, and don't hit too many bends in the road that are unexpected. So go ahead and throw it out for questions.
You said more personality. What do you mean by that?
Just usually this time of year, I don't know what to think about our team as far as the leadership base and how we're going to go about things, how we react to things. But so far it's been, I think we're a little bit ahead of the curve. And getting guys like Riley Moss back, guys like Charlie Jones, picked 2 guys, Cherry picked 2 guys that are on the older side and maybe had options to consider. Sam Laporta, throw him in that group. So getting guys like that, and then I'll cherry pick a guy like Gavin Williams, who really has only been our lead back 1 game now in his career, but he carries himself like he's an older guy, like a senior almost. There's something about him, a maturity about him, and a focus, and he's really respected by everybody. So I think we got a good mix that way, and we're hardly there yet, but at least that's a big part of the next couple of months here, is continuing to build on that and develop a stronger personality as we go along.
Coach, the unity, the esprit de corps has been a strength of your last couple of teams, especially in light of all the negativity that's been outside the program. I think you would say that's been one very helpful and what you've accomplished? And two, when do you really know, that team have this potential to be that strong?
Yeah, we're going to find out, and I hope we do, because I agree. I mean, I think really the last 4 years we've really kind of been building pretty well, and for the most part finished up pretty strongly in all 4 of those seasons. Pleased with the way things went. You know, a couple things from last year, obviously we'd love to change, but yeah, we've seen that, and I think for us to have a good team, you know, if you look historically, that's really been the case. If our leadership base grows and our togetherness, if you will, as a football team, are there, at least you got a chance to be competitive, and that's where it all starts. So it is important. It's something we try to work on, you know, it's conscientious on our part to work at it, and but it's important. But every team's got its own personality too, and it takes the right kind of guys to develop that.
What have you seen from the 3 quarterbacks both today and then in the 15 practices in spring overall?
I think all 3 have made a lot of progress. Alex had some injury issues he was dealing with the first couple of weeks, so his work was limited. But I think all 3 guys are growing. All 3 are little different discussions, you know, how they play and how we'd play if they were in there. But they're all growing. Joe is, you know, obviously, as I said back 5 weeks ago, he's behind the other 2 as far as knowing what to do. But this was huge for him to get a 15 set practice. And when Alex was out, that increased his workload a little bit, which was good. So this will be really helpful for him. Not that he's a first-year guy, you know, he is kind of, but like this isn't his first spring, but you think about the young guys that came in too, you know, having these 15 days, that'll really help them accelerate, I think, between now and August. Hopefully they'll be, you know, further down the road and we get going then.
How much ground did he make up, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, he's made progress, you know, he's doing a good job. So he's still got a lot to learn, but we would expect that and certainly do. But he's got a good attitude, he works really hard, he's very conscientious, and yeah, as you saw, he does some good things out there.
You've had some quarterbacks in the past that have, you know, Nate Stanley, for instance, was a true sophomore when he started, and number 2 when he was freshman, Drew Tate, a few others. Can he follow that path with a good August and put himself?
We'll see. You know, the competition path was probably a little different for the other guys, but we'll see. I mean, we have an open mind about every position on the team, and certainly the quarterback spot. You know, right now, Joe's got a ways to go for us to have confidence that he can go out and play, but we've seen the other 2 guys win games for us as a starting quarterback. Not that they won the games on their own, but, you know, we've won football games with those, and, you know, we played an opponent last year that, you know, we knocked their quarterback out of the game and they couldn't respond. So, I mean, that's a big variable. If you, that's part of winning football. Somebody's got to come out and get the job done. So, yeah, I hope Joe can enter that free, and I think he's got a chance.
Do you see Spencer as the leader in that competition right now?
You know, overall, yeah, but I mean, we're going to keep an open mind. It's the way with our whole football team. We'll let guys keep competing.
How has Spencer looked this spring to you?
I think good. I think he's done a lot of really good things and seems confident. He's healthy, and you know, he throws the ball well.
Coach, Sam Laporte has always seemed to play with a certain amount of maturity, even going back to his freshman year. Would you agree with that? And has that helped his development?
Yeah.
He's approached the game?
Yeah, I mean, he just, some guys just have a certain knack or air about them, and he just has had that. It's a little bit ironic because he was not a 5-star recruit, and took us a while to figure it out, and thank goodness we did. But since the day he walked in here, he just acts like a football player, and I hate to use that word natural because it suggests guys like haven't worked at it, but he makes good decisions and just has a knack for doing things the right way, and that's good to see. But and he's got a confidence about him, an air about him, just the way he is naturally. He's one of those guys who people gravitate towards.
Coach, number 3 made some good plays on defense. Have you seen Cooper continue to improve, and where's he at right now?
He has. You know, he's you know, moving into the mix too. And we got a lot of good competition coming in the back end. Another position where you got a couple guys out that have been limited or couldn't work. I guess 3 guys were out today, I think, that have starting experience for us. But yeah, Cooper's making a, you know, good name for himself. He's learning every day and does a lot of good things. I'll go back to the bowl game. You know, he gave us a chance with that come across the field tackle on their big play, where, you know, if we'd gotten a stop, you know, ifs and nuts, all that stuff, but at least he gave us a chance to keep fighting there. And, you know, those kinds of plays, to me, I'm not sure you teach those. Some guys just, I don't want to say did that naturally. Again, not to use that word naturally, but that's just how he's wired. He plays it all the way through. So, yeah, he's doing a good job.
How do you feel right now?
And he'll be good on special teams, too, obviously. Yeah,
How
I'm
do you
sorry.
feel right now about kicker?
You know, obviously today it was, you know, we got work to do, being outside, I think.
The wind, obviously.
Yeah, they did a pretty good job during the spring, but the consistency is going to be the issue. And I was talking to somebody yesterday about Jason Baker, different topic, but I remember Jason, when I got here, his issue was consistency. Obviously, he could punt the football. You know, I feel kind of the same way about the kickers. I think they're both capable, but they don't have the consistency level right now. And then, you know, we are going to play in games conditions like this most likely sometime next fall, or not, if not every week. So, gonna have to learn that too. And you know, it's a whole different discussion. It hasn't been a great spring weather-wise. And now I have to check with the recruiting department before we decide. I still get to practice, decide when we practice, but where. You got to check with the recruiting department because we have recruits here, and you know you can't go outdoors because it might be too chilly or windy. And anyway, so world keeps changing. It's not just NIL.
What are your thoughts on Jamari's situation from the last weekend?
Not happy, obviously, and you know, most importantly, I think he's feels bad about it. Sincerely feels bad about it, and you know, if there's a positive, he was able to walk away without hurting another person or himself. But that's, you know, it's going to be a hard price to pay, and it's unfortunate. And you got to remind yourself, you know, we've got 100 plus population of 100 plus people that sometimes make bad decisions, and you know, so it's just unfortunate.
Will he be out the opener?
Yeah, that'll be my, unless something comes, that's kind of been our standard, yeah, with football.
What about the cohesion of the offensive line? You
Mhm.
lost some pieces, and there's
Yep.
injuries, and then of course, you've kind of been a work in progress for the last few years. Where do you think things stands now, or do you think they're better than maybe what they were 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, I do. I think we've, you know, with an asterisk on that, we got a couple guys injured. Nick, you saw, wasn't out there working today. Yeah, so I think we've clearly made ground or gained ground there. I thought we did during the course of the year last year, especially the last, you know, basically November on. I thought it, you know, we started to look a little bit more like what we hope. We're still young, but I think, you know, we're certainly more experienced than we were a year ago. But all that being said, we still have work to do. And, you know, Logan played a lot of center today. You think about it, that's his 15th practice playing offense. I know he played in high school, but he does a lot of things pretty, again, that word instinctively, naturally, but he has a knack of, like, you know, fitting in the right places and doing the right things. But I was just telling Aaron Campman out there, the first, third down drill we did, or the first 2-minute offense, all of a sudden it's a little different because you know, you're shotgun snapping. You got a guy right on your nose, or you got to set to a guy that's out here, and those things are easier to talk about than do. And you know, we just lost a guy or graduated a guy who did it really well for a long time, so you kind of forget there's a little bit of a challenge there. But that's why practice is so invaluable, and it was a great learning experience for him. We were watching Mike Muslinski kind of make that same progress in December until his injury. So, you know, it's going to be fun to see how those two guys do when we get back. And then I think we've seen some growth from, you know, guys like Ellsbury. You go down the list. You know, we talk about Colby like he's a grizzled veteran. He has been here 1 year. So there's a lot of room for improvement still, and that's good. Jack Plum's really, I think, made some strides. He's really practiced well for the better part of this spring. I can say the same about Mason. And so, you know, I think we're seeing some things there that are encouraging, but we still have work to go and a lot of room for improvement.
Kirk, when Logan got here, did you have in the back of your mind that you could maybe switch to center? When did that start to develop?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you always look at players, what their potentials or what their potentials might be. And, you know, Jack Campbell's another guy. I mean, I could name 6 positions. He probably could play pretty well. Then you got to figure out, okay, what's best for the individual, what's best for the team. And, yeah, so I mean, it was in the back of my mind for, you know, since we started recruiting him probably. But, you know, it's a combination of what he might be able to do and then combination of what our depth is. And that's really what led us to move in Tower. We try not to just move guys to move them, but, you know, if there's a good rationale for it, then we'll have a discussion. And this one I might have gone, what do they call it, rogue, you know, when you just go on your own and do it. But the defensive guys are talking to me now again and all that stuff. So we're moved beyond it. They weren't happy, but, you know.
Can you talk about the development of Quinn Schulte on the back line, what he's done?
Yeah, he just quietly has done a really good job. And, you know, you think about a guy like Jack Kerner who played so well so long. And Q is just, he's improved with every turn. And, you know, we're just talking about Cooper and him, you know, getting more comfortable and you know, growing. And I think Quinn's done the same thing. So he's done a really good job. And hasn't really been, noticeable, and I don't mean it in a bad way. That's, they always start there. Like, you know, balls aren't going over his head. That's a really good thing. He just plays steady. He's where he should be, and he makes the plays he should make, and that's really good because he's still a really young player, but he's done a really good job.
Kirk, some of the players kind of said, as it pertains to the offense, tempo good, execution maybe not quite where they want it to be.
Yep.
You pretty much agree with that?
Absolutely,
And is that
yeah.
kind of indicative of the spring?
I think so, and I think we've had a couple days where our tempo could have been better, and today's probably one of those a little bit. And but you know, I don't know how many times I've walked out of here in Springs or in August where, you know, it's like, okay, we can still do a little bit more here, a little bit better, and that's part of the learning process. You know, when you get in front of fans or you're in Kinnick, you know, you should be going at a little different rate, I think, and but it's typically learned. It just is, and that's part of the thing we'll have to learn. The cohesiveness and all that kind of stuff, that'll come. You know, I'm confident we got the parts, assuming we get everybody back healthy and all those types of things, but yeah, we'll focus more on that in August.
What do you see in these 15 practices from Wampa?
Good, yeah, that's what I was kind of alluding to when you talk about Joe, but all the first year guys, he and TJ in the back end, just getting the work and learning all the things that they do are really good. So I think we're going to see a big jump in just terms of his confidence and just being a little bit more decisive with his play when we get back in August. So, and he's done some really good things. He flashes some things that are like, you know, you can see the guy that we knew who he is, and that'll show up on special teams too. But yeah, he's just a tremendous young guy, great personality, demeanor, really good to work with, good work ethic and good work habits, and you know, he's doing a great job in the classroom as well. So it's really been great. And say the same thing about TJ Hall. They're both back there together as true freshmen. They both just are really doing a nice job so far.
We've got a lot of depth along the defensive line and a couple little injuries, but Luke Van Ness kicking him outside, how has that gone over, and what can he do? He did seem to have a pretty good year last year.
Yeah, he's got a chance to be pretty good, I think, and works hard. He's got a good motor, and you know, he gets after it pretty well. And he's problematic when you're trying to pass block him. He does a lot of things well, but he's a good football player. So I think, you know, if that's coming along, we'll get Joe Evans back. That'll help us. You know, really, Zach was the big loss as far as contributions from last year. So we feel like we got a chance, and that was part of the rationale for, you know, considering Logan on offense, just because we have some depth there. And I think the guy's done a good job. They've been really steady. Noah's had a really good spring. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention him. John Wagner, the same thing. And that's, you know, if you're going to have a good team going back to personnel, you know, there's two guys that have played football. They're seniors, and these guys just they live it every day. You know, just the way they operate, everything they do is really first class. So that's good for guys like Lucas to see. Okay, this is the tempo these guys work at, and this is how we do it. But Noah especially has really done well, and John's really done well, and in a very quiet way. But boy, they're going hard. That makes our offensive line better too.
He has to go against Mason a lot, and Mason got thrown in left tackle as a redshirt freshman. How do you think he performed, and what's his competition level like this spring?
I think he did a good job last year, considering. And then, yeah, he's a guy. He's taken a jump. But I think both he and Jack are better players now than they were. Clearly better, but better than they were in January. It's because they both work at it. They study it. They're not perfect, but they try to be. Like, you can just tell they really think about the detail of what it is they're asked to do, and that's really important at that position. So I think they're on the right track right now, and you know, time is going to make them better, because you can't give a guy maturity or experience.
Just one or two more. What's the young status?
He should be good in June. Yeah, we got good news on that. Yeah, we've been getting a lot of bad breaks or funny breaks. That was a good break, because they're never quite sure when they actually do a procedure what it's going to be. But that was probably as good as it could be. So yeah, he should be. If he's not full speed on June 6th, he should be really close. That's good news.
With the
He was doing a
NFL
good job.
draft, sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry, no.
With the NFL draft less than a week away, have you been getting a lot of phone calls from NFL teams about Tyler Linderbaum, and what's your thoughts on him being potentially the second Iowa Hawkeye offensive lineman being selected in the past 3 years?
Yeah, really, not a lot of contact. He did his pro day 2 Mondays ago, I think it was. So, you know, visit with the people that were here then. I may have talked to a couple people, you know, over the last couple of months, but it's funny. Every draft's different, and every team's different in how they do it. Tyler's kind of unusual. That's what I told the guys at Pro Day. It's like, you know, there's really not a lot to tell you because everything he is, it's on film. And I guess his arms weren't quite as long as somebody wants. I'd rather a guy with deficiencies, and we have a lot of guys like that too. I think we've had a bunch of them. I think Sheriff had, he just signed a pretty good contract. So anyway, I'd rather have a guy that has arms maybe a half an inch short that can actually block guys, try to block them, then block them. You know, everything he does is his resume's on film, and then you meet the guy, and he's this same guy. Had a couple teams just comment about what their interviews with him were like. One guy actually said he probably could coach our offensive line. It was that detailed and that thorough. So, you know, I've sat on that side of the fence for 6 years. The one nice thing for any coach appreciates just knowing what you're going to get, like really knowing. And I think that's the best thing I can say about Tyler. Whatever they think they're getting, that's what they're getting, probably plus some. And he'll be a guy in my mind that's going to go play probably the next 10, 12 years and play really well, be a great guy for the team in the locker room, all those things that are really invaluable. And I think that's, you know, a contract that, you know, a guy like Sheriff signs or a guy like Yonda, part of that is just what they bring to the team, not just the play they have. And I think Tyler's kind of that guy. He's just, that's the way he's been for his entire career here. So, yeah, where he's going to go, there's so many variables on all that, but really doesn't matter how you get there. It's what you do once you get there, and he'll be just fine. And I feel that way about all our guys. I mean, all the guys coming out right now, it's an exciting time, neat time for them. So keep our fingers crossed. Okay, thanks, guys. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Let's get, I'm sorry, Coach. Kenny had one.
Yep.
All right.
Oh, I'm
There's
sorry.
been some injuries at wide receiver and tight end. We saw a few missing out there today. How do you feel about the development of your pass catchers, just in practice, and what you saw there?
Yeah, that's where it's frustrating because we've had guys miss a lot of time, and then you got, you know, at one point for a high percentage of our practices, there were times where kind of maxed out 4 receivers. So how many plays of team can you really run? How many plays of 7-on-7? So we've had to really gear some things back. We need to get those guys all up and running, and then we need to get them in August, when we're going to need some quality work in that area, because that affects everything too. But you know, having tight ends, you know, you had Luke out for the 2.5 weeks, whatever it was. Good news is a guy like Johnny Pascuzzi's done a great job, or, you know, Johnny Jacuzzi, whatever you want to call him. He's got a couple nicknames right now. But, you know, he's a guy that was on the scout team last year, and he's really done some good jobs. It's good things out there. So, you know, I mean, that's a guy taking advantage of an opportunity. And, you know, so you see those guys do some things like that. Alec Wick made a really nice catch, nice play the other day in the red zone, Thursday morning. So, I mean, it's all hands on deck, and we need to get the guys healthy and get them back where they can perform, and just get that consistency that you need with that group.
Can I ask one, Kirk?
Sure.
Just kind of where are you at in the process of putting that advisory committee together?
Yeah, probably next time we get together, I'll have more conclusive thoughts on that. This last month, it's really been kind of more on our team, but yeah, I got some ideas. I think we're getting closer, and you know, we'll probably have that wrapped up here by June, mid-June.
Thank you.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay. Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
Have a good